Hi, friends. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Grab something to hydrate, whether it is water or some herbal tea, whatever is going to keep you hydrated and healthy as we gather together. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Weed Day. It is 420. I don't know. I am 65 years old and I only just learned how 420 even came to be. Did you know about 420? Maybe this like came up after I was, through high school or whatever, but I was always like wondering why 420? And apparently somebody came up with 420 was after kids got home from school, and that's when they would get home from school and they'd be smoking weed. So all kinds of things to celebrate today. Weed Day, Passover, Easter. Pick it, whatever works for you. How are you for real? Are you doing thumbs up, thumbs down, somewhere in the middle? I would love to know how things are going for you, and I'm so glad you're here today. You may have one of these in your home or in your car or both, a first aid kit. Today, we are going to work on creating our own first aid kit. Only it's not going to be this kind of a aid kit. It's going to be our anxiety relief toolkit because you need to have it, right? The whole reason that we have these first aid kits is that we know stuff happens, right? There's one of those odd times when you're chopping the vegetables for dinner and whoop, you slice into your finger. And so if you don't have a first aid kit to go grab, then you've got to get in the car, drive to the store. Same thing for our mental health, right? We want to have our toolkit at the ready. So when stuff happens, and you know it's going to, you're already prepared. You're prepared and you say, oh, I got this tool to grab. So if you would pop in, say hi, where you are tuning in from, maybe what you're celebrating today, and what could you use some help with, right? Where is your anxiety level? Are you struggling? Are you just like, oh, let me find another tool or two? I'd really love to know where you are so it can help kind of set the tone for the day. If we haven't met yet, I'm Stephanie Dalfonzo. I am an integrative hypnotist, have been for 20 years now. I love it, love it, love it. Talk about hypnosis, but do not practice hypnosis here on Insight Timer. That is a no-no, so we don't practice hypnosis, but there's so much more that we can talk about. And most of what I talk about is anxiety relief because of my own issues with it. For 30 years, I have been studying simple ways to calm stress and anxiety because 30 years ago, my hit the fan and anxiety meet insomnia, I lost it. Medication failed me. It worked for a short time and then it didn't. Now things got worse. So I started researching. And what I share with you is not airy-fairy stuff, right? You might hear hypnosis and think, ooh, woo-woo, crackpot stuff. It's not. Everything I share with you is science-backed. So if maybe you went out to an Easter brunch today, or, recently, you go to a brunch or go to a buffet, and there's all these different things to choose from. And so, ooh, you might go and find, ooh, no, I think I'll pass on that. But then, God, I really love shrimp, or I love smoked salmon or whatever it is. I'm going to put a little extra on my plate. So I'd like to invite you to the buffet today. And I want you to think about how we are going to, just like in this little first aid kit, there are 5 containers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to give you 5 little containers of different tools that you can put in your anxiety first aid toolkit. So we're going to have 5 of them. Hi, Sharon. Are you there with both kitties today? And how is the weather up in Maine? We've had gorgeous weather here in Connecticut. And if you look at my Rudolph the Red Nose here, you can see I've been enjoying the sunshine as much as I can these past few days. Hi, am I saying it right? Ani or tell me if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hopefully, yes, in West Haven. Oh, you're right down the street from me. You're not too far. Also in Connecticut. The weather has been gorgeous these past couple of days, hasn't it? Awesome. So glad to have you checking in and glad you were here. Anybody else want to check in and say hi, where they're tuning in from? And truly, when I say, how are you doing? I'm not asking in that typical, oh, yeah, I'm fine. Oh, yeah, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. I'm really not asking that. I'm asking for real. How are you? What do you need help with? When you give me an idea of, okay, this is where I'm struggling, I might be able to give you just a little bit of a slight turn there to be able to help shift things and make them a little easier for you. So, oh, both kitties, sunny day. Oh my gosh, the wind has been crazy in New England at least. So I know Sharon is up in Maine. I'm in Connecticut, and we're both like the wind has just been absolutely crazy. Hey, hey, Michelle, so glad you are here. Your hands were holding trash, honey. You want to let go of that trash. Coming back to back yoga nidra sessions. Oh, good for you. Awesome, Michelle. You're so sweet. Thank you. Michelle, why don't you put your info? Michelle is a teacher here on Insight Timer. Please put your info in the comments section so we know when you're on the next time and what you're covering. And any other teachers, this is, we come here to Insight Timer for community. And the way that I find some of my favorite teachers is through some of the teachers here on Insight Timer. So please, if you are a teacher like Michelle, put your info in. If you know a teacher on Insight Timer that you think, oh my God, they're great, you haven't put your application in yet. You're going to get it done soon. I know you are. Oh, you're going to start yoga church. I love that, Michelle. Awesome. Angela, your anxiety is stemming from depression. Yes, I know the situation is, I know. I hear you, and I am so grateful for you sharing that, Angela. I totally get it. One thing, aside from hypnosis, that we don't do on Insight Timer is politics. But we can talk about the emotions that we're dealing with, and there's a lot of anxiety because of it. And Christina's saying, yes, same. So, yes, you're in the right place, and we don't need to talk about the stuff that's causing us the anxiety. Like we know it's there. So rather than focusing on what we don't want, I want to acknowledge it and acknowledge that, trust me, it's weighing heavy on my heart too. And I am so grateful. Literally, I am grateful that I've had 30 years of prepping for all of this, practicing, because when we have, and this is why I wanted to literally call this our anxiety first aid kit, because we need to have the tools, right? I don't know about you. Maybe you can tell me in the content, in the comment section, that you had enlightened parents or had some enlightened adults when you were a child and they taught you some of these techniques. I didn't have that. And so I've had to figure it out on my own. And I do understand now that when we have the tools, not too many, this thing, what is it? I think I saw in here, there's like, 80 pieces. If I gave you a kit with 80 tools in it, it'd be like, overwhelming. So I'm not going to do that. As I said, we're going to have 5 buckets of different tools today. And at the end of the class, I'm going to, you might want to grab a pen and paper for this. I'm going to invite you at the end of the class to pick maybe one from each of the buckets and write it down and create your own first aid relief toolkit for this coming week. So grab... Oh my gosh, Michelle, that is fantastic. And I love that. A free app to lock my social media apps. I don't know about that. That's the first I'm hearing of that, Michelle. If you wouldn't mind, put in the comments section what that tool is, what that app is, because I don't know about it. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to know about that. That would be, and that's one of the things that I have not planned on talking about today, but this is why we come together in community, my dears, because it's not like I have all the answers. I can share what I know, and then you share what you know. and we help each other. We lift each other up. So I love that. Oh, Ani, it's Sunday. So Sunday scaries. My dear, you're in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Check in with me at the end of the class and let me know if it feels maybe a little less scary. Okay? All right. So we're going to do our emotional first aid kit. We are our anxiety relief toolkit. And Michelle has already shared something called Screen Zen. I am not endorsing that because it's the first time hearing about it, but she says it's free and it's amazing. So I would definitely say less screen time will definitely, especially in these times right now, and I love that there's an app to help you with that because it's hard. I will ask clients to back off on how much they're checking in on their screens, and I get a lot of resistance, especially now. It's like the more that we're intense with all of this, the more we are addicted to checking it out. So you might want to check that out. Oh, see, Michelle, I love that. Love that you're saying, Ani, for me, Sunday's scary too. And so this is why we come together, because we don't feel like we're not the only one. Like we're like a little paper bag or plastic bag floating in the wind. We're all in different boats, but we're all in this same body of water. And so we're going to find our tools to be able to help us get through the storms. All right. So again, I don't just pull all of this stuff out of thin air. I do a lot of research and have been for 30 years. So boiling it down, because I was the one who I didn't want to hear about the research. Like, ugh. Now I do share it because I know that when you hear just a little bit, it helps click it in place, like little puzzle pieces coming together. So I'm going to touch just a little bit on the science. Don't go anywhere. I'm only going to touch briefly, I promise. But what happens when we feel anxious? Our body's alarm system goes whoop, whoop, whoop. It goes into overdrive, especially the part of our brain called our amygdala, and it triggers our body's fight or flight. Right? It floods our body with the stress hormones of adrenaline and cortisol. It gets our hearts racing, our muscles get tense, makes it hard to think clearly. And you think, that must be a pretty big part of our brain, right? If it can have that big an impact. Really? The amygdala is the size of an almond. Like this teeny tiny thing can create that much anxiety. Think about that the next time you chew on an almond, right? Letting that tiny little thing have that much control over our bodies. Not for me, not for me at all. So anxiety, excuse me, I have to get rid of the prop, right? So I'm saying anxiety doesn't just affect our emotions, it affects our physical bodies as well. So we're going to go over some tools to help both body and mind. Okay? So I shared this with you, I think it was last week or the week before, this emotional guidance scale from Abraham Hicks. And this was based off of I'm totally blanking on the original, but there's another version of this as well. But so this is a scale of emotions, and it goes from 1 to 22. And down here at the bottom, we're looking at fear and grief, despair and powerless. A lot of us are feeling these emotions, and you can see the frowny face, not where we want to be. Okay, up here, we're more expanded, more open. Yes, that's where we want to be at the top. We've got joy, freedom, love, appreciation. So the thing is, what I want you to really understand is when we're in these lower states, these lower vibrations, it's not like we do one tool and woo, it's waving the magic wand and all of a sudden we go down from here, we're up here and we stay here all the time. It doesn't work that way. But think about for a moment when you're down here, and I'm not even going to say if, because we all get to these low states at one point or another. When we are in these lower states, we can use any of these different tools, finding the ones that work best for each of us, to move up a little bit and then move up a little bit. And with practice, because I love to talk about practice and repetition are how we create habits, right? With practice, we can start to be more in these maybe mid states with little glimpses up into the higher states. And so as we don't ever get to a point, I don't even think the Dalai Lama is always up here at the very top of the chart, right? But when we can stay more in these upper states, it's also easier that when we go down into these lower states, when we practice being in these upper energy states, it's easier to get back up here. It's that muscle memory. So again, we are going to fill 5 different buckets in our anxiety relief toolkit. Hi, Jessica, just wrapping up your Easter dinner. Oh, so glad you are joining. Happy Easter and happy Passover. Obviously, if you're enjoying Easter, you're probably not celebrating Passover too, but also happy Weed Day, Jessica. It is 420 plant medicine, All right, so we've got our 5 different buckets for our anxiety relief toolkit. First bucket are sensory grounding tools. And we have 5 senses, right? We have sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And that is kinesthetic. I am very much a kinesthetic, a touch person. So when we talk sensory grounding tools, I immediately go for things that are touch. These little stones, right? It says breathe on it, and it's smooth. It's just really like, oh yeah, there's something to it, right? And I would give these to my clients to remind them to do their breath technique. And literally, I would have clients show up 10 years later and they'd bring out their little stone I gave them 10 years before because, reminding them to do that breath was so powerful. Hi, Nicola. Is it Nicola or Nicola? Please put the correct pronunciation in there for me because I know it's so important to hear our name correctly. So, hi, let me know the correct first version. Nicola. Got it. Thank you so much. And so glad you are here. So it could be a little stone like this, all right? And you don't even have to go buy something. Maybe find a heart-shaped stone on a walk one day, and that becomes your sensory grounding tool. Maybe for you, it's something like this, a little fidget spinner. This doesn't work for me because it's spinning. Like when I'm feeling anxious, I've already got enough motion inside of me. But just like Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors, because we like different flavors of ice cream, we like different flavors of anxiety relief too. So if a fidget spinner works for you, go for it. If it's something like a breathe stone, go for that as well. Do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, right? 5 things you can see. And stop for just a moment. Whatever it is you're doing, stop for just a moment. And look around. I'm seeing pink. I'm seeing blue. I'm seeing a bunch of my scarves over there. I'm seeing this emotional guidance scale that I was just showing you. 5 things you can see. Then name 4 things you can touch. Maybe that's your clothing. Maybe that's rubbing your fingers together. Maybe it's giving yourself a hug, right? 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear. It's so interesting. I think I walk out in nature every day. I'm so blessed with where I live to be able to just walk outside my door and walk in nature. And I've noticed that depending on the atmosphere, I don't know the meteorology stuff with it, but sometimes the traffic from the highway miles away is much louder. And I get a choice at that point. I can hear the traffic, and I can choose to tune into that, or I could notice the bird song that I'm hearing, or notice my breath, right? You can always bring to mind your own breath. You can do Ujjayi breath, the ocean sound breath, or Darth Vader breath. Or you could do humming, or bee breath, bzzz. Take a moment, if you're by yourself, and do one of those right now, and notice what it does for you. For me, that internal sound stops my chatter mind, right? So much more powerfully than any sound outside me. It's making that sound internally is what beep, just stops negative Nancy chatter mind. So that's something to think about. So 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell. Maybe you smell good. Maybe if it's spring for you where you are, like I am here in Connecticut, beautiful flowers are starting to blossom. And we were in a garden yesterday, and something, I didn't even figure out what plant it was. It was just, so intoxicating. And it brought me right into the present moment. And that's what we're looking for, right? So 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste, right? Maybe you don't have some water or a drink to taste. Maybe you just taste the inside of your mouth. It is a way to get you into the present moment. But I don't know if it's because I live north of New York City, so I like things a lot faster. That takes too long for me. I figure when I'm in a really anxious moment, or if I'm on the verge of having a panic attack, trying to think of 5, then 4, it's too long. I much prefer the 3-3-3 rule for anxiety. And I do have a recording here on Insight Timer if you want to go listen to that and remember what this is. It's simple. It's much simpler than the first one. It's 3 things you can see, 3 things you can hear, and 3 ways to move your body. And that could be as simply as touching your fingers together, moving your head from side to side to get a different perspective. It could be giving yourself a hug. Also, it could be essential oils, right? The smell part, right? So we're out of the sight and the touch, but the smell of essential oils. And great oils for stress and anxiety are lavender. We have heard so much about lavender bath bombs. I have lavender from my lavender plant last summer, and I did little sachets with it. The essential oils are much more concentrated, so if you're going to use it for anxiety relief, I would definitely say that the essential oils are going to be more helpful than just sniffing some wild lavender. So anyway, lavender, chamomile, bergamot. You find that in Earl Grey tea. And I've really been into blends lately. I am really into hope and console blend these days, and it is helping me so much. Oh, Nicola, lavender plant, lavender incense sticks. Awesome. That is great. So again, the essential oils, I've been using these for over 10 years, and they are absolutely incredible for helping me to maintain that balance, right? I use the essential oils to help me to maintain, and some of these other tools for when I get spiked and when I get triggered. But you do you. And then one more for our sensory grounding tools is if you happen to have a tennis ball. I love the feel of a tennis ball because it's light, in weight, and the fuzz just kind of feels good. And you can toss it back and forth. If you don't have a tennis ball, grab a water bottle and toss that back and forth. Like that. Or simply use your hands, going back to the one side, out and back. Do it with me. Come on. I know. Go ahead and do it with me. That's how you get it in your body, is when you start to actually experience it and feel it. It's like, ooh, I feel that calm coming on. This is called crossing the midline. And again, I love doing it with the tennis ball, but it doesn't matter. What is important about this is we're crossing the midline. Yep, we're crossing the midline of the body, but more importantly, we are crossing the midline of the brain, and not just the little amygdala, but we are crossing the midline of the entire brain. And when we get anxious, one hemisphere, one of the sides of our brain is out of balance. So, right? By doing this crossing the midline, we are balancing both sides of the brain. So lots of options for our sensory grounding tools. Again, we're going to come back at the end. I can't say the brand name of the oil blends because of limitations here on Insight Timer, Sharon. But if you send me a message through Insight Timer, I can get that info to you. Just click on my little circle at the bottom there. It'll take you to my teacher profile and you can reach out to me. Okay. Again, I just want to abide by the rules there too. Lavender and peppermint tea are good too. If peppermint tea helps you relax, that's great, Nicola. I normally recommend the peppermint for uplifting, right? Because peppermint is an uplifting what is it, an herb? So if it works for you, great. If you haven't used peppermint tea for that, you might want to go for lavender. Or a couple of my favorites right now are a honey lavender stress relief tea, and then some sleep blends for at nighttime too. Nicola, I love that you said I had high levels of anxiety. That is wonderful. I love that you're saying I had, because when we reference it like that, I had high levels of anxiety, it's like it's putting it in the rearview mirror. All right, yeah, I had high levels of anxiety, opening up the possibility that that's not going to be the truth going forward. So well done. Good job, Nicola. All right, breath techniques. We're here on Insight Timer. You know we've got to have breath techniques. And even though I'm sure if you're here on Insight Timer, you probably have your favorite breath techniques. Let me go through them. Please come to it with a beginner's mind. Maybe you already know all of these, but I know when I used to be like, yeah, I know that. I missed out on being able to. I love when I come to things with a beginner's mind, I can find nuances that I didn't before. So if you would, open your mind and let's talk about the exhale twice as long. Right? I'm sure you've heard, if you've been on Insight Timer at all, you've heard people talking about how that exhale twice as long works so well. And it's so simple. Like, it is really simple. We inhale and then we exhale twice as long. And when we do that, we are stimulating the vagus nerve. That is the longest nerve in our body. It goes from our brain all the way down into our abdomen, wraps around all of our internal organs. And when we do this exhale twice as long, we're stimulating the vagus nerve, which then stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's like the cozy down blanket. That's the rest, digest, and relax nervous system. So let's practice this. Even if you already know it, imagine this is your very first time. And before we start, notice if there's any tension in your body. Give it a number, 1 to 10. 1's the least, 10 is through the roof. And then let's do a few rounds of breath together. and then come back to it and notice what number it went down to. So we're going to breathe in for 4, breathe out for 6, and we're doing this just a few rounds, and you'll notice the relief from it. So breathe with me. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now let your breath come back to its natural rhythm. And notice that tense spot that you noticed a moment ago and gave a number. And notice what number it went down to. And I'd love for you to share that in the comment section, how that was for you. Maybe it was brand new. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm an old pro with this. Doesn't matter. I'm really curious to see. It went from this number to this number. And while I'm waiting for you to put that in the chat, let me take a quick look at this. Nicola, keep blocking people. Find them toxic. Yes. There is a lot of toxicity, and we are the sum total of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And that is not just the people we spend time with in person, it's the people we spend time with online. So again, we go back to, we were talking about at the beginning of the class, right? You got to watch and be very mindful about technology. Ani, awesome, went from 2 to a 0. Right? So simple. And we can do that breath technique anytime, anywhere. Another breath technique that people love, and Michael, my husband, helped remind me. I was like, okay, which breath technique should I share today? Another one is, Nicola said she's blocked half the town. My dear, I'm so sorry. But the good news is she went from an 8 to a 0 in that breath technique. Well done, you. And I have a feeling, Nicola, when we get to the end of the class, that breath technique is going to be one of the ones you put in your anxiety first aid kit, right? So this next breath technique, again, you might know it, but let's pretend as if this is brand new. And whoever's putting the hearts in, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. She's done this a lot. All right, awesome. So if you've done it a lot, you know then that you're doing it so well because you have practiced and done the repetition. And that's how we form habits, right? Practice and repetition, practice and repetition. So come to this with a fresh slate, like you've never heard of the 4, 7, 8 breath technique. Let's begin. Let me tell you first, and then I'll guide you through. We'll breathe into the count of 4. We'll hold to the count of 7. And then we'll breathe out to the count of 8. And pro tip, when you're breathing out that 8 count, to make it like so you can all the way to the end, start very, very slowly. Because a lot of times after that holding, people will like, and try and release it. And then it's really hard to get to the 8. So just start really slow on that exhale on when we get to the 8 out. Okay. So breathe with me. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slow. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do 2 more rounds of this on your own. And when you're ready, when you're done, finish your round. When you're done, let your breath come back to its natural rhythm. And I would love to know how that was for you. If you already knew it and it was like, yeah, I got this. Or maybe you already knew it and you were like, oh, I never knew about that. Start slow on the exhale to make it all the way through. Or something else. I'd love to hear from you, how that worked for you. Ani, I have a lot of recordings here on Insight Timers, so I would love for you to check out. Already talked about Your Own Private Paradise, I think. Let's see, I've got Your Own Private Paradise, the 333 Rule for Anxiety. I've got a bunch of different recordings here on Insight Timers, so I would love to have you check those out. So anybody want to share of those 2 breath techniques, which one worked better for you? The exhale twice as long or the 4, 7, 8? Oh, I thank you, Nicola. I am not an EMDR practitioner. I am a hypnotist for 20 years. The 478 is what worked for you. And fantastic, Nicola. All right, awesome. So we've gotten our sensory grounding tools. We've got our breath techniques. Now we can get into our progressive muscle relaxation. And Ani, I have a 61-point body scan here on Insight Timer for that, so you could check that out as well. If you're not familiar with muscle relaxation, the progressive muscle relaxation, Bessel van der Kolk, he's a medical doctor, so again, bringing the science in. His book is called The Body Keeps the Score. Oh my gosh, our anxiety is not just in our head, right? Ooh, we walk around, our muscles are tense, our jaws are tense. After COVID, after the lockdown, dentists here in the US, we're seeing more people coming in with cracked teeth, with TMJ and other disorders from clenching their teeth and gripping their jaw so much. Right? So we carry our anxiety in our bodies, and the progressive muscle relaxation is a great way to, not with our head thinking about it, but to literally just get our body to relax. So I'm not going to do the whole, body scan. Again, I've got the recording here on Insight Timer, but if you would, to experience it now, either take your hands and really squeeze them as hard as you can, or your jaw, tense it up, but don't tense it so hard that you're going to crack a tooth, right? But I can remember a yoga teacher a couple of years ago. She would always cue me in. I didn't realize that I'd be in a pose and I'd be clenching my jaw and I wasn't even aware of it. So either clench your hands in a fist or clench your jaw, but not so hard that you crack a tooth, and just really, really squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then on 3, hang on, keep squeezing. I want you to really feel this incredible tension. I'm going to count to 3. And on 3, not yet, but when I get to 3, then I want you to just do a big release. So keep squeezing, tense it up, tense that. Oh, feel that tension. 1, okay, we're getting there. 2, oh, I know it's getting hard to really hold this, and we're almost there. 3, And notice, could you feel, like I could just feel the tension, like just like whoo, right out of my hands, almost like a tingling flowing out. So you can do that, especially ladies, if you are experiencing perimenopause or menopause. We feel a lot of the symptoms in our body. So a great thing to do to help you sleep at night is to do a progressive muscle relaxation. Again, you can listen to my 61-point body scan or just do it on your own and start at the top of your head and work your way down, or the tip of your toes and work your way up. It is really, really helpful. Again, just trying to give you all these different options, because one size doesn't fit all. Anybody else agree? Quick aside, I had a burst of energy this week. I started some serious spring cleaning, and I have dropped over the past 5 years, I've dropped 60 pounds and kept it off. So I bagged up all my old clothes that I will never fit into again, bagged them all up over the course of this week, and it gave me room to breathe. So it was really nice. Thank you. How do you get tension out of activities like singing when you're practicing them with tension for so long? Ruth, I'm not really sure. That's an excellent question, because I am not a singer, don't play one on the radio. I was a radio DJ, but only using my voice to speak. I'm not really sure about that. And actually, Ruth, if you want to reach out to me again, go through the little circle picture of me on the bottom. It'll take you to my profile page here on Insight Timer, and send me a note. I'd love to talk to you about that, because I'm not really sure. I don't have a good answer for you on that. But I would love to figure that out with you. Naomi, you know what? In the middle of COVID, I realized I was stuck emotionally. Like, I knew my anxiety was through the roof. And I was like, I'm not physically moving very much. And I started walking. And I walk 5 miles or more every single day. And I never started it to try and lose weight. I was just doing it for my emotional well-being, and the physical well-being came with it. So yeah, Naomi, I know you can. And my dear, here is a hug. I know you can relate to that stuck feeling. A lot of us are in that boat. And so that's why we are here. Excellent. Oh, good job. Excellent. Right? So, Nikolai, you're finding what works for you. And that is, Dr. Daniel Amen. He is amazing. Yep. And I love that you all are sharing in the chat what works for you, and it's helping each other as well. Excuse me. So remember, we have 5 buckets in our little first aid kit. And we have 5 buckets for our emotional first aid kit. We have our sensory grounding tools, the breathing techniques, progressive muscle relaxation, and now we are up to cognitive tools. So that's the thinking minds. Our thinking minds can take us to some really wonderful places, yeah? And our thinking minds can sure take us into some not so great spaces. Anybody agree? I want to see like a whole bunch of hearts on that one, because I know I'm not alone with that. Think about athletes. Whether you practice this, specific sport or whatever, if there's an athlete that you're like, oh my gosh, I admire them so much. She is the best, or he is the best. I guarantee they do mental dress rehearsals. And when they are at that level, I can guarantee they're not doing mental dress rehearsals of everything going wrong, right? They are mentally dress rehearsing everything going right. And it doesn't mean click your heels 3 times and everything's going to go perfectly, but you have a much better chance if we practice things going the way we want them to instead of, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So there is that mental dress rehearsal. And then also reframing those negative thoughts. For years, I lived in what if land. What if this happens? Oh, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? And I kept working on it, kept working on it with everything else. And you know what? It really came back and bit me this week. I found myself, if you've been with me for a while, you may know that my husband has a rare autoimmune disorder. And he had a pretty big setback about a month or so ago. And then we found a new protocol, and he's doing really well. And I caught myself in my what if thinking of, well, what if this is just a short term thing? And then I was in a beautiful meditation the other night, and I clearly heard, well, what if it's not? What if it's not just a short term thing? Well, ding, 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 the light bulb went off. It doesn't mean I am counting on now that this new protocol we're using is a cure, but what if? Right? That opens up the possibilities. So just something you can think about and play with. You catch yourself with what if, what if, what if, going down that doom thought process. What if it all works out? Just think about that. Okay? This next one is not something that necessarily has worked with me. I've tried many times, and because I came up with this again for the class today, I was like, I'm going to practice this week. Byron Katie's The Work. Do you know about that? It's a lot of people have had incredible results with this. And for some reason, maybe just, where I was in my lifetime when I practiced this before, when I was introduced to it, didn't really resonate with me. But I'm going to go take another pass with it this week. And you might find it works really well too. It's very simple. I love simple because simple shifts, that's what creates lasting change. So Byron Katie, it's just 4 questions. Is it true? Whatever this thought is it true? Question 2. Can you absolutely know it's true? Question 3. How do you react when you believe that thought? And number 4, who are you without that thought? Who are you without that thought? Something to play with. And again, that goes in the cognitive tools bucket. Awesome. Awesome, Nicola. Good. Well done, you. All right, so we've got our 4 buckets. We got our 5th bucket now, and that is visualization. And not like visualization as far as like The Secret. The movie The Secret drove me crazy, absolutely crazy, because they made it seem like click your heels 3 times and the Maserati will be in the driveway, and it doesn't work that well. But visualization does work when you work it the right way. And I did this with you a couple of weeks ago, your own private paradise. And that is my favorite meditation to do with my clients, because I've done this with thousands of people now, and everybody gets an individual experience because it becomes your own private paradise where your higher mind is informing this for you. So I'm going to suggest that you go ahead and plug into that this week. I did get it uploaded. It is live here on Insight Timer, your own private paradise. And I want to give you a little taste of it now because it is how we can create some new neural pathways, right? And I'm not going to go into all of that. I've done whole classes on it. But the more that we practice something, the becomes what we do. A lot of times we get more of what we don't want. When we visualize what we do want, chances are we get a lot more of what we do want. So if you're comfortable with it, close your eyes or let them come to a soft gaze. It's just going to be a real quick little, like a little mini taste of this. With your eyes closed, imagine an absolutely perfect day. If you're like me, you can tell from my Rudolph the Red Nose here, I love being out in the sun. But maybe you love being indoors on a cloudy, stormy, maybe thunder and lightning going on outside kind of day. Wherever you feel most comfortable, where you feel like you're there without a care in the world, feeling relaxed, happy, content. And breathe that in. Just breathe it in now. All those good feelings, and let go of anything that no longer serves you. And breathe that in again. As if all's right with the world. And then let go what no longer serves you. One more time. Breathe in those good feelings. And let go of anything that doesn't feel good. And even that just quick little thing, doesn't that feel good? Simple shifts, my dears. That is what creates lasting changes. And in the Your Own Private Paradise recording, I will recommend that before you do it, you get a stone or some kind of little object to remind you, because I'll tie that in so it reminds you to do that breath again and again and again. Because without practicing these, it will have no effects on you. So now it's time. If you don't have a pen and paper, you might want to grab one. Now it's time for us to go ahead and create our own anxiety relief toolkit. Again, 5 buckets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For your sensory grounding tools, what are you going to put in there for this week? You're going to do some kind of a stone. Again, it doesn't have to be a store-bought thing. It could be finding a stone out in nature, or a rock or a crystal that you happen to have around the house. It could be a fidget spinner, which it sounds fun, but literally this causes me to feel anxious, so that's not going in my toolbox. We had the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. The 3-3-3 rule for anxiety. We have the essential oils and our ball toss. Could be crossing the midline with a tennis ball or something else. Excellent, Kimmy. She's saying her 5-4-3-2-1 is her all-time favorite tool. So great, Kimmy. I know you already have that one in your toolkit. Now let's look at the place to put our breath techniques. The exhale twice as long. Maybe you want to practice that and focus on that for your breath technique this coming week. It could be the 4-7-8 breath technique. What breath technique are you going to put in your anxiety relief first aid kit? Then we had the progressive muscle relaxation, and it could be the whole body, or it could just be doing the hands or the jaw like we practiced, or scrunching up your whole face. It's that release. It's not the tension, it's the release of the tension that feels so good. 4th bucket were our cognitive tools. We have the mental dress rehearsal, Byron Katie's 4 questions, and what if, instead of what if. What if it all works out? What if Michael's health continues to improve, right? It's opening up to the possibilities. It's not airy-fairy. This stuff actually works. They have proven time and time again, if you look at athletes and what they do. So many athletes use hypnosis and use this visualization practices because it works. And they have science, they have research to back it up. So is that going to go in your emotional toolkit? And we had visualization, whether it is doing that little teaser that we just did, or listening to my whole Your Own Private Paradise, or some other meditation that you hear here on Insight Timer. So I love it. Sharon is already saying she's going to try the ball toss and she likes the 478. Christina is saying 478. Kimmy is saying 478. Boy, folks, I think we have a winner here. The 478 breath technique is really like the one to beat this week, huh? So excellent. Again, I'm going to say, make sure that you don't just think about this and think, well, that was nice, and then forget to do it. Practice, 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 because the practice is what helps you keep your calm, right? We are living in, for me, I don't know, I can't speak for all of us, but for me, these are the most anxious times of my 65 years here on Earth. And so I have been doubling down, and I will tell you, Insight Timer, mwah, Christopher, and all of you who work at Insight Timer, I love you for having this platform for us to come together in solidarity to keep ourselves calm or calmer. And I plug into Insight Timer so many times a day. I am not here just once a day. I'm not here just once a week. I am continually plugging into Insight Timer. So, Insight Timer is awesome. Yeah, Ginger is saying, yes, I'm grateful for IT. You got it. Oh, Caitlin Ness, I record these. So, my dear, don't worry. Click on the little picture of me at the bottom where it says live. Click on that. It'll take you to my teacher profile, and you can find ways to connect with me, and I can send you a recording of this. So you will get all of it so you can create your own emotional first aid kit, your anxiety relief first aid kit for this week. So again, we talked about sensory grounding tools, breath techniques, progressive muscle relaxation, cognitive tools, and visualization. It's a lot. And as I said, at the beginning, there's 80 pieces in this first aid kit. You don't need 80 pieces in yours. Like in my book, I have 35 techniques, but not because you have to know all of them. It's so you can find the couple that work best for you. And as always, I'm going to suggest those of you who already knew to do this, you've already typed in the chat and said what you're going to be putting in your toolbox. When you type it in the chat, you have a 65% greater chance that you're actually going to follow through with it this week. So follow through with that. Maybe get an accountability, take it up to 95%. When you use these tools, they work, and it helps your life go more like this instead of those wild up and down swings that we have been dealing with. All right, we've got lots more of these 478s coming in. Cool tools. Thank you, V. Ella and Ani are both saying 478. Awesome. Farah gives me a thumbs up. We got it. All right, my darlings, remember, as always, classes here on Insight Timer are on a donation basis. If you found value out of it, very grateful for any financial donations, grateful for the hearts and the love. Thank you very, very much, Angela, for your generous donation. I appreciate that. Belinda is saying progressive muscle relaxation. Awesome. I love it, darlings. All right, I am off next week. We have a milestone birthday for my husband, Michael, and our kids are coming home. So thank you so much for your generous donation, Christine. I really appreciate these donations very much, and I appreciate you. So I will be thinking of you all next week, but we will be here celebrating, and I really encourage you to add in an extra tool into your toolbox this week. Find some joy. Find something to celebrate. It's easy for us that we have this milestone birthday for my husband, but find joy where you can. It's there if you look for it, dears. And as always, find love. Know that you are loved because I love you. I'll see you back here in May for Mental Health Awareness Month. Have a great couple of weeks.